Okay, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 2.3. So again, go ahead and do your warm-up if you guys have not, and we will go through it right now. So we need to follow our PEMDAS, our order of operations. So first we need to do -3 times -2, which makes that a +6. Then we have 9 plus 6, which is just 15. Okay, we're going to take care of what's in parentheses first. So -5 plus 7 makes a +2. Then 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, order of operations. Let's take care of what's on top first. So 3 plus a -7 is a -4 over 12. You could do one of two things here. You could either take care of what's in here first, or because it's multiplication now, it's 12 over, I made this a 12 over 1, times a -4 over 12, you can just cancel those 12s, and our answer is -4 over 1, which is just -4. Okay, same thing here. We're going to take care of what's in parentheses first, which becomes a 2. So then I have -4 times 2, so that becomes -8. So 26 minus 8 will make, we have 18. Okay. All right. Simplify each expression. So 10c plus c, and remember there's a 1 out here. When we have the same variable with the same exponent, we just combine the 10 and the 1, so that makes 11c. So we've got an 8.2b, a 3.8b, and a -12b. So when I combine those all together, I'm going to combine these first. Okay, and this makes 12b, and then minus this 12b right here makes a 0. Okay, since everything kind of just cancels. All right, so let's go ahead and do our next one. I'm going to distribute, so I have 5m plus 4m. 2 times a -7 makes a -4. Then I can combine these, so I get 9m minus 14. Okay, lastly, I have just a negative sign that needs to get distributed, so you can treat it like a -1. So that makes 6x minus 2x minus 5, because that negative has to go to both. So now 6x minus 2x becomes 4x minus 5. All right, moving on. So we're going to look at solving two-step equations today. So this just means we're solving it with more than just how we have been in the last lesson with one step. So first, you always want to look at what's being done to the variable, the first thing. So the first thing that's being done is that it's multiplied by a 4. And then after that, we're adding 2. And so what you do to solve this is you work backwards. So you do the opposite. You subtract 10 first. So it becomes 8 equals 4a. Then, once you've done that, you would divide by 4 because it's being multiplied. So we would get 2 is equal to a, or a is equal to 2. Either way, how you write it is fine, okay? All right, next one. So again, we know that there's 5 multiplied by the t and a -2, and so we work backwards. So so the second thing that's being done is the subtracting 2, so we're going to add 2 first. So 5t is equal to a -30 when I combine that. Now I divide by 5, and I get t is equal to -6. Okay? Let's try the next one. All right. So we have fractions. Yay, your favorite. Well, we have a y divided by 8 and then -3/4. So the first thing that I would do is I would add 3/4 to both sides. So I get y over 8 on this side equals. Okay, so I cannot add 7/12 and 3/4 unless I have a common denominator. So I'm going to make this a 9/12. So 7 and 9 make 16 over 12. All right, now to get rid of the 8, instead of dividing, since it's divided by 8, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 8 over 1. If you would like, you can cancel a 4 out of here. So a 4 goes into that twice, and a 4 goes into that 3 times. So then I have 16 times 2, which makes 32 over 3. Okay? All right, next one. So fractions again. So we have a 2/3 times the r plus 3/4. So again, we want to get rid of that 3/4 first. So I have 2/3 r. Now again, we can't do 7/12, okay, minus 3/4. I need to make it a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom and get 9 over 12. So 7 minus 9 is a negative 2 over 12. If you want, you could simplify right here and make this negative 1 over 6, because that can cancel. Now, to get rid of this 2/3, we multiply by the reciprocal, okay? Multiply by the reciprocal, because that makes everything cancel over here. Now, negative 1/6 times 3 over 2, the 3 goes into here 1 time, it goes into my 6 2 times. So I have a 1 times a 1 with a negative sign, and a 2 times a 2, which is 4. And my answer is negative 1/4. Just note, equations that are more complicated may have to be simplified before you can start solving it. And you may have to use things like the distributive property or combining like terms. Okay, so we're going to run into that right now. All right, so this 8x minus 21 plus 5x equals negative 15. We need to combine our like terms first. So 8x plus 5x makes 13x minus 21 equals negative 15. Now I can add 21 to both sides to get rid of this 21. Negative 15 and a positive 21 makes a positive 6. Now I just can divide by 3, and my x is equal to 2. Okay? So on this next one, we need to distribute first. So again, this was kind of in the warm-up. When you see a negative sign sitting out in front of parentheses, that's the same thing as a negative 1 that we would distribute. So we would make it 10y. The negative times the 4 makes a negative 4y, and then a negative 8. Okay? Now I combine these two. 10y minus 4y makes a 6y. I want to get rid of the 8, so I add 8 to both sides. That makes 6y is equal to negative 12. Then I can divide by 6, and y is equal to negative 2. Just, again, this is something that always stumps people. If you see a negative sign sitting outside of the parentheses, you're distributing it, but when you distribute it, it's still subtraction. It's not like multiplication again later, okay? All right, you're going to see these problems in your homework. So here's what's going on. You have an equation, 4a plus 0.2 equals 5. They want you to find the value of a minus 1. Well, you can't really find the value of a minus 1 unless you know what a is. So first we need to solve for a. So we're going to subtract 0.2. So that would be equal to 4.8. Then I'm going to divide by 4. And my a is equal to 1.2. Okay, I have my a. Now it wants to know what a minus 1 is. So I plug a in, 1.2 minus 1, which 1.2 minus 1 is 0.2. So again, to find that value, we substituted what we found for A into the equation, and then we solved. Okay, another similar problem. It wants to know what's 3 times D, but we can't do 3 times D until we know D. So our equation is 3D minus a 9 minus 2D equals 51. Well, here's that nice little negative sign that we need to distribute again. So that makes a negative 9 and a positive 2D, because it's a negative times a negative, equals 51. I'm going to combine these. 3D and positive 2D makes 5D minus that 9. Notice that I keep the sign that's in front with the number that it's coming before. I'm going to add 9, so I get 5D equals 60. Divide by 5, and my D is equal to 12. Now, just a reminder, okay, that's what our D is, but it wants to know what is 3 times D, okay? So 3 times D is now that we have to plug D in. So we know that D is 12. We want to know what's 3 times D, 3 times 12. So we substitute 12 in, and 3 times 12 is 36, okay? If you wanted to check if this was correct, let's say you weren't sure if that D was correct, we can always check our answer by plugging that in back into the original equation into every location where there is a D, and check this way, okay? So that makes 36 minus negative 15. That makes 36 plus 15 because of a negative negative. So then I get 51 equals 51. So again, remember, you can check your solutions. Okay, one last word problem here. The equation contains multiplication and addition. So you want to identify where the multiple operations are, and then we work backwards using our inverse operations to undo them. So it says Alex belongs to a music club, and in the club, students can buy a discount card for $19.95. The card then lets them buy CDs for $3.95 each. After 1 year, Alex spends $63.40. We want to find out how much of that money was spent on CDs. So how many CDs did he spend? So they already come up with an equation for us, okay? They tell us that his total money spent is equal to whatever the discount card costs plus the price of a CD times the number of CDs you buy. So we need to do the inverse operations backwards. So let's look. Well, first C is multiplied by 3.95 and then added to 19.95. So to do it backwards, we would subtract 19.95 and then divide by 3.95. After you subtract, you're going to get, so let's say we subtracted first. I know there's not a lot of space here, just work your best with it. We're going to get 3.95C is equal to 43.45. And then secondly would be to divide by 3.95. And on these types of equations, I understand that you guys would probably want to use a calculator on this. If it's on a test or a quiz, I'm not going to give you numbers like these. So then when you divide, C comes out to 11. 11 CDs. Make sure you understand what that answer is. All right, so just a quick reminder. We find, this is a really great statement up here, okay? Whenever you see the multiple operations, you look at what's being done and you work backwards and you to undo them using inverse operations. And we're done.